Hello everyone, Alien Volt here, and this is Call of Duty World War II. Alright, so what is World War II like for Call of Duty? Well, I think it's pretty damn good. I really like it. And one of the things I really like as well is that the kill streaks aren't like out of this world unbelievable. You know, they're more or less things that you would find in combat, kind of what Medal of Honor started to do when they started introducing kill streaks. But unfortunately, the series just didn't draw the crowd that EA wanted and they canceled it. But Call of Duty has went back to the basics. They've given the people, well, some of what they wanted, not all. What we really want is the ability to rent servers and host them ourselves, so that way we can build up communities around them and even get back to modding. But Call of Duty doesn't really allow that. Activision doesn't allow it. No matter how hard and loud we have cried and tried to get this done, it doesn't happen. If their numbers keep dwindling like they have the last few Call of Duty games, you know, perhaps maybe they'll start listening finally. Money talks, and if they can't sell copies of the game, well, eventually they'll deliver one that people want, or they'll just stop delivering games altogether. I honestly feel World War II is actually a pretty good attempt at giving the players and the communities what they really wanted. And the game really delivers. It plays really well. It moves really well. For the first time, we actually have a Call of Duty that's designed to run above 90 frames per second. And it does that very well. I have a 144 hertz monitor, and so I set the cap, I think, at 150, and I ran 150, 155 the entire time. It really didn't drop down. If it did, I didn't really notice it. The gameplay was just really smooth. Now the textures do seem a little bit blurry to me, but of course this is a beta. It's not the final version of the game. And I also have everything turned on to max, including like sun shadows and stuff like that, or sun shaders. And when I noticed the in the options on that, it actually did warn me that it could make the textures a little blurry. So that could be one of the, you know, effects that are actually causing this to look a little blurred and just kind of blah. But other than that, I mean, it's a good looking game. Just not really an improvement over the last Call of Duties. In looks. In performance, it's a huge improvement. In looks, it just kind of looks the same. But performance-wise, I mean, it's night and day. It's a very good running game. At least for me. I don't know if anyone else experienced problems. I mean, that's always possible. On my system, it ran pretty much flawlessly. Now the maps, I think they're well done. They're a little on the small scale, but that's something we've come to expect with Call of Duty, and you know, for a good reason. I mean, when you only have 12 people on the map, you don't need a map that's really large. Otherwise, you're just not going to really have fun. You're going to spend your whole time running around the map and missing people. Now, so far, the way they've done their classes in this game is basically they've kind of given you like paratroopers, which, you know, have SMGs supposedly. But you can go into the weapons and select different weapons, which kind of defeats the purpose of selecting a different class altogether. I mean, if you can pick whatever weapons you want with whatever division you want, it kind of it kills the need for different classes. Now, I don't know if this is something they're just doing in beta. I hope so, because you know, there's guys running around here with ghillie suits and SMGs, and not because I picked them up, because they can actually select them in the loadouts when you unlock weapons. So I'm really hoping that's something they don't do. I mean, otherwise there's really no reason for classes. Now the skins on the classes too, there's a few things you can do. There's different faces, very, very limited. I think there's something like, you know, maybe 9 faces total that you can pick from, and a couple of them are women. So no matter which division you choose, you can end up playing a female character if that's what you want to do. not historically accurate, but you know, it's a game. You know, some people don't want to play women in games. Well, some women don't want to play men in games. So I mean, I can understand the argument, and I can see why you'd want to put them in the game and let people play the characters they want to play. I mean, that's part of the enjoyment of the game, is enjoying the game. And somehow I doubt that seeing a female character in an airborne uniform is really going to kill the immersion of a game like this. After all, this is not a simulation. This is far from it. It's arcade. Now they may end up doing more looks, more character faces with unlocks, which is what they've done with, you know, Modern Warfare Remastered and things like that. So the odds are they probably will end up doing something like that to give players more choices of appearances and customization options. But right now, there's nothing like that in the game to experiment with and play with in the beta, so all I have to go off of is just, it's really limited. Now, I just don't think that Activision or EA or, you know, most first-person shooters for that matter really get what players want. We want the ability to create our own character, make them look how we want to make them look. You know, if we want a fat character running around with a gun, then let us have a fat character. If you want a small, skinny guy, then that's what you should be able to have. We want to customize what our character looks like. Beard, no beard. Look at The Division. They give us a lot of customization options in that. And I think that's what people really want in Call of Duty and Battlefield as well. You know, we want the ability to choose our sex, choose what our, you know, race and appearance is going to look like, and then have that type of control over our character customizations options. That's what we really want. We don't want preset characters, and it's just too limited. If you want people to invest in a game and play it for the long run, give us the ability to design our own character and own it. I mean, that's one of the reasons MMOs are so successful, is that they give you so much customization and control over how you develop your character. And I think that's what first-person shooters need to start looking at in terms of the longevity of the game, giving people more control over what they actually play. Give us more choices. Now, this plays very similar to any of the other Call of Duties without having any of the Titanfall air mechanics that the last 3 games have had. So it kind of gets back to the basics in a sense. But it still plays fluid, it's fast, it's quick. Not quite as quick as this video. I did speed it up like 25% to cut down the time, so I could show more without cutting out a bunch. But I really like it, I really do. And I haven't played much of the last 3 Call of Duties, to be honest. I think the most I played was Advanced Warfare, and I think it's under 300 hours in that one, and under 100 hours of the last 2 games. So, not too impressed with the last few Call of Duties. I didn't really like it. I think there's a lot of problems with the peer-to-peer stuff, and the mechanics just didn't seem right to me. Now, don't get me wrong, I like Titanfall. I played more Titanfall than I did Call of Duty, but it's not because they were similar and I just chose one over the other. I mean, I bounce around, I play a lot of games. It's just because I just really didn't like the new Call of Duties. I just felt they had too many problems. And I think most of that stems from the peer-to-peer issues.
Recon aloft. We have eyes in the sky.
Their network is just broken. And most of the time it leads people to believe that people are hacking because, you know, the person hosting or closest to the host will usually have the best game. And, you know, they may go 3, 4, even 5 to 1 kill to death ratio, and it's not because they're exceptionally great at playing this game, it's because they have an advantage. And they may always have the advantage because their internet connection may be amazing. I mean, they may be on, you know, fiber optic cable, but it's not really something that's been addressed. And Call of Duty just keeps shoveling out the same thing. The same network, the same peer-to-peer bullshit that we don't really want to play on. And as a result, when you're on Steam, it's hard to get games sometimes, especially during, depending on what time of day you're trying to play. And you can see how few people play the game compared to how many people own the game. And that's a problem too. I mean, a lot of us buy the game even if we don't plan on playing it a lot, just because we want to play the single player or we just want to play the zombie portion of the game. And we may not like the multiplayer anymore, but the other aspects of the game are still good enough to play and warrant buying at times.
Dropping A's on bomb.
Especially if budget's not really that big of an issue for you. But then there still is that die-hard crowd that this is pretty much all they play, and they play this game all day long. Nothing wrong with that. I mean, if that's what you really like and you enjoy it, by all means do it. It's just a lot of us that the game's just kind of grown stale. It's just too much of the same. It's kind of like World of Warcraft in an MMO. I still play it, 13 years later, still play it. Is it old and does it bore me? And if I do too much, I get burned out and I quit playing because it's just too much of the same. The new content's always welcomed, but when you do the same thing over and over and over and over again, you just get tired of doing it. But then look at Lawbreakers. Lawbreakers is a really fun game, actually. Well done, and I'm really surprised it's struggling right now to get members. But I think a lot of that is because they try to do something different, because that's what people always, crying for. Hey, we want something different, we want something innovative. So they did innovative game modes, and I don't think people liked them once they got in there and couldn't figure them out right away, and then they just gave up. It's a good looking game. I mean, it looks as good as this, and it's kind of got like a Titanfall, Call of Duty, Overwatch gameplay mixed in there, and it's actually a lot of fun. It's got positive reviews. I mean, it's in the 80s, but no one plays it. So that's always the risk of doing something new, and you stick with the same formula, you're pretty much certain to draw the same crowd. You start changing things up, well, you risk alienating your fan base and losing sales. And so that's why we usually end up getting shoveled the same thing all the time. But I have to say, this Call of Duty, I really do like it. I think I'm going to end up playing a lot of this. I would venture to say probably more than the last 3 Call of Duties combined. I think it's definitely a step in the right direction of giving people back what they've, been asking for. It's just too bad it took this long to do. And I'm really looking forward to this title. I mean, I think it's gonna be great. I hope so, anyways. I mean, they could always screw it up, but so far from what I've seen, I think it works really well. It runs well. I mean, it runs amazingly, actually. I mean, it runs really, really good. And I think it's gonna do well. At least it's what I wanted. I can't speak for the rest of the community, but I know it's what I wanted. Anyways, I'm gonna end this video here. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time.